This is Leftwink LightWork coming to you this June 8th with a message for the collective. So we began the year with a pandemic which shut down our economy and forced us into our homes. Complete upheaval of life as we knew it. Panic mode, isolation, a little stir craziness for some, overwhelm for others, fear, anxiety, division, social distancing, stay 6 feet apart, put on those masks. Everywhere around us, we see separation, and we're being asked to separate from each other, separate from the world, separate from the normal that we once knew. It's all about division and separation. And as all of you have been doing, I have also been processing. We've all been processing, seeking to understand, because as much as we're shown division in everything that we see online, on the TV, words from others, really, we have so much more in common than we have in differences. But it's really easy to get caught up on those differences and on those reasons to divide us, right? If your viewpoint is different than mine, I don't want to see it. I'm going to unfollow you, right? We go deeper into our isolation tanks, our turtle shells, and we hide from each other, and we hide from the world, and we hide from confrontation, and we hide from making others feel uncomfortable, or maybe we hide from our own judgments of self. It's a lot easier to point the finger at someone else and judge them for what they're not doing or what they're doing that's not right, what they should be doing for you or what they should be doing for me, right? What they should be doing for us. And I think the collective as a whole is purging some victim mentality consciousness. So the victim mentality is when a person, an individual, can put the responsibility on somebody else, right? The blame on somebody else. And I'm not saying there's not real victims in life, because there are people that are a victim to a crime, right? There are legitimate victims out there. At some point in your life, you've probably been a victim to something at some time. You know, somebody cut you off in traffic, you know. You were a victim to them cutting you off, you know. Whatever the slight, no matter how small or big, we've all been there. We've all been the victim. And there are perpetrators in the world. There are those that seek to do harm, or maybe they don't even seek to do harm, they just unconsciously hurt someone else. Like maybe the guy that cut you off in traffic didn't really see you, so it wasn't intentional, he just wasn't really paying attention. Does that change things? A lot of times we'll put judgment on someone. Oh, he cut me off because whatever, he's an asshole, or he doesn't like me, or he doesn't like people with purple hair, so he cut me off. But the fact is, I'll never know what was really going through his head, perhaps. If I didn't know the person, I may never know. if it was intentional or unintentional. But what I do have control over is my reactions to the situation and the way that I choose to perceive the situation. I can perceive it as the victim of it, or I can perceive it as something for my growth. I could perceive it as an area being mirrored back to me that maybe I could benefit from some introspection on. Mirrors coming in. There's a lot of messages that want to come forth, but before I ramble on, I'm going to go ahead and pull some cards and let it come out through the cards. But coming into the reading, those are the themes that have really been popping up for me. Just watching the debates, I wanted to say conversations, but really debates going on online, the insults, threats, just really childish behavior. And I'm not saying I'm above it. I've probably said things that people have thought was childish, I'm sure. I'm not above it. We're all victim to it right now because we're being triggered because there's a lot of healing going on, a lot of purging of mentalities that are holding us back. It's important to learn from history. It's important to not forget, you know? Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. We need to learn from our past so that we don't make the same mistakes or repeat the same mistakes. But we also don't want to get so stuck in the past that we don't see the progress we've made and how far we've come. We're our own worst critics. And I think the collective as a whole, what's been coming through is that the collective as a whole is really needing to purge the negative self-talk, the negative self-perceptions, the looking, comparing ourselves to others. Because ultimately, we can only compare ourselves to ourselves. So let's see what comes through in the cards to further clarify those messages. Again, this is a message for the collective for the month of June 2020. Or whenever this video pops up into your feed. But this is the current energies coming up right now for the collective. It's been quite an interesting year. We're halfway through it now. I think a lot of us would say that's good news. The year's been going quite quick, but at the same time, it's been very unique, to say the least. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to go ahead and just pull 3 cards. Oh, okay. For the collective energies. Let me set them here. We have the Lovers. It's a little far away. Next time I won't have it so far away. I'm learning. The Lovers. We have the Magician. And we have the 6 of Wands. So in the past, recent past, beginning of this year, the Lover's energy really signifies that there was a major balancing between divine feminine and masculine energies in the collective. And that's one of the reasons why we were pushed into our homes, because the masculine energy is about do, go, divide and conquer, get out there, get things done. It's action oriented. And so when we first were forced back into our homes, it put us into that yin energy, the feminine energy of receptivity, waiting for the orders to come, allowing, sitting, really, it's the receptivity mode. So you're no longer going out and doing things, you're letting things come to you, waiting for the next COVID update, whatever it is. It really pushed us into feminine energy. And so coming into the beginning of this year, that was the balancing that was happening. The feminine and the masculine. The feminine coming in to heal and to balance. And then in the current energies, I'm sorry, my cat's playing with my dress. See, Mira. Okay. So, in the current energies, the magician is about really starting to hone in on what it is that we can manifest, what it is that we can do. So now that there's that balance, there's been that time to go within, and there's been that time to really observe and be the observer. So you've observed this dichotomy, you know, the left, the right, this, that, right? And the extremes, you know, the things that don't really make sense. And through that observation, you've been able to see that there's always two sides to every story, right? Even with the videos of the protests and the riots, you could see justification for each side with different videos that were out, you know, on YouTube or other sources, the news. And they both showed a very different perspective of what was going on, right? But just like in any connection, right, or any story that you hear from two different people, maybe it's an argument between friends, a couple that's separated and divorced, there's always two sides to every story, and the truth often lies somewhere in between the two, right? It's usually not very black and white, you know, there's some gray area in there, and that's usually where the truth can be found. And it's just really important to really be conscious of our thoughts and what we're manifesting with those thoughts, because our thoughts are very powerful. And being that conscious creator, saying that I don't want to focus on division, because that's what the media, right, the powers that be want us to focus on. They want us to focus on the divide and what our differences are. But if we can remember that our power is in where we put our attention, we can start to really focus on manifesting the new normal we want to manifest in this world, right? And get less caught up in old stories and old programming that is outdated and keeping us stuck and repeating the same patterns. You know, when the protests first started, I was reminded of the 92 Rodney King riots. And my dad lived in Long Beach, where I'm living now, going through current day riots. And what struck me was the similarities. I had thought about that, and then a friend mentioned it to me and brought up the year 92. I didn't, you know, I had forgotten the year, but she reminded me, and then someone else said it, and then I heard it on a video or news or whatever. It was a repeated thing that this was just another repeat of the same cycle. And you could get really caught up and say, well, we're just repeating history. But are you ascending up the Ashalam? Like, we've ascended. Yes, we've repeated a pattern, but we've also made a lot of big strides. With the current things that are going on, we could get really, really focused on how far we have left to go, instead of focusing on all the progress that we've made and all the progress we're going to continue to make as long as we stay united and focus on our commonalities instead of our differences. So really being very mindful of where you're setting your focus right now. And if you're seeing a lot of negativity on your feed or in the world, what can you do to bring some positivity in? If it's just posting a funny video or a meme, or maybe it's posting a different perspective to help someone see that maybe their far right or far left view could come a little bit to meet more in the middle. We could always benefit from meeting a little bit in the middle. because all of our perspectives are valid. We've all lived very different lives. And yeah, we all walk our own unique path. And sometimes we just mess stuff up, right? Or maybe not. Maybe there was a reason for that, right? Right, Mira? What happened? Too much junk around here? I feel like something fell off, but I don't see it. I'll find it later. Okay, so there was another card here and it disappeared. Where did it go? That is strange. What was the other card? I know there was another card here. I had 3 cards. That is strange. Huh. Okay. That's really weird. I don't know what the card is that I had. But I know I pulled more than 2 cards. Huh. Very strange. So what does that mean? The card just disappeared. What just happened, Mira? What was that? I just needed to sit with that for a minute. There's a lot of pressure when you're like trying to film a video and you don't want to have to edit it because editing takes a lot of time and I just don't have the time for it. She knocked stuff over and then the card went missing, and I'm just trying to evaluate, like, not trying to evaluate, really opening myself up to receiving what that message has. Something about missing the point or losing the point. Like, you have to expect the unexpected. Like, you know, something just happened. Not a little miniature disaster, nothing major, right? It's a little, like, it's a distraction. It was a distraction. The sleight of hand. The sleight of hand. Be mindful of the sleight of hand. There's a distraction. The collective is being distracted. It's a sleight of hand. Look over here so you don't. It's the magician's trick. Drawing your attention here so you don't see what's going on there. There's a sleight of hand happening. And the collective needs to be aware of the sleight of hand. We have a lot of 7 of Cups. We have a lot of choices in where to put our attention. We need to be mindful, we need to be selective, and we need to be cautious, and we need to be aware of the serpent. We need to be aware of the trickster and the lies that are going to come in to try to divide and separate, and to keep us stuck in repeating old patterns instead of ascending up the echelon. This is a new normal, but it's not the new normal that you've been sold. The new normal that you've been sold is a normal of masks and 6-foot distancing, mandatory vaccinations, and who knows what else. Defunding the police. That's not the new normal that I want to ascribe to. So don't get caught up in that narrative. Don't allow yourself to accept a new normal that you're not comfortable with. Know that you do have a choice in where you put your attention, and the energy that you put out can birth something new as we set our sights on nurturing and loving ourselves and speaking kindly to ourselves and empowering ourselves, that's where we can make a difference in the world. So a good thing for us all to do right now is to take that time to really assess, where am I having an impact in the world? You know, the causes that I care about that are important to me, how am I making the world a better place? How am I contributing towards positive change in the world? Whether it be in my career or in my family, with friends, strangers, how am I giving back to my community? How can I be a ripple that turns into a wave? You know, we may feel like we don't have a whole lot of reach. You know, I could get really fixated on the fact that the last couple videos I posted only had a couple views or whatever. Very, very small number of views, really. I mean, so small. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if only one person watched a video I made and was impacted in some way positive. It doesn't matter. As long as I'm doing what I feel called to do, and I felt very called to get this message out to the collective because it's brought me a lot of peace. The messages that have come in have helped me to understand what's going on and to be aware of the sleight of hand. I really wanted to know what card was missing, and I'm gonna put it in the comment box below, like what card was missing when I watch this again after I'm done filming. And I'm gonna put a little extra message in the description box of how it's relevant that that particular card went missing, because that card was in the future position. So that's what's coming. And so it is very important, that card, that sleight of hand, it's like, you know, don't allow those who are manipulating the system or using the sleight of hand to outsmart you or to trick you or to bait you. If you look at our culture, there is a rise in narcissism and a decline in empathy. It is statistical. And it's not just statistical, you see it in your lives. The fact that you even know what a narcissist is tells you that there's an issue with it in our society. And if you know anything about a narcissist uses manipulation tactics such as gaslighting, triangulation, manipulation such as sleights of hand, future faking, and baiting. So right now we're being baited. What are they distracting us from? I don't know the answer, but it's important for us to consider that. What are we being distracted from? And one thing I can say for sure is that we're being distracted from unity. We're being told to fear one another. We're being told that we need to cover each other's faces and not see each other's mouths because I could get infected by some hidden, invisible illness. I'm going to fear you, and I'm going to not just keep you at a distance, I'm going to keep you at a 6-foot distance. And that's if I even leave my home to even see you at all. So we're being baited. And there's definitely a sleight of hand. So really start to consider, what is that? What's really going on here? What am I being distracted from? Be informed. Do your research. Let's not be sheep. We have brains. God gave us brains for a reason, so that we could use them to bring beautiful things into the world and to help heal this planet. That's the World card. The Seven of Pentacles. The Seven of Pentacles is about planting seeds and nurturing them and watching them grow. And that's what we really need to do. We just had a full moon, which is about releasing things, releasing old mindsets, old programming, to allow something new to come. This is a new normal. This is uncharted territory. But we get to choose where we go from here. We get to choose what energy we bring into this world. Is it loving or is it hateful? Does it grow people or does it cut them down? Those are the questions we need to ask ourselves. I strongly felt called to pull from the Universe Has Got Your Back deck. I was looking for the box. I think that's what fell, was the box for that. I'm going to show it to you. What I was just reading from was the Light Seers Tarot. This was a gift from a friend of mine. Thank you, Lindsay. I'm going to pull 3 cards. These are messages for the collective at this time. What we can be doing as individuals at this time. That's way too many cards. I'm not going to read 20 cards. I'm going to get just 3 cards. 3 cards for the collective. First one is, I do whatever it takes to get closer to consciousness. And on this card is an owl. So this card is about really going within. Again, doing our research. Looking for the different sides of the story. Seeking to understand one another versus destroy one another. I do whatever it takes to get closer to consciousness. So where does a light need to be shone in my own life? Where are my blind spots? I choose to learn through love. So again, that focus on division. We may have unfollowed or deleted people this week, this past week. I know I have, and I know others have. Why? Why did we do those things? Why did we feel the need to completely separate from these people that, maybe we've known for years? What is that about? Was that doing the loving thing? If it wasn't, how can I be more loving? How can I communicate my truth in a more loving way? How can I seek to understand others versus trying to persuade them to understand me, right? Or to see things from my point of view. 2 cards came out, so that's what you're getting. The moment I embrace my peace within and surrender, the outcome is the moment that the universe can truly get to work. Surrendering to the outcome. A lot of times we lose our peace when we try to control a situation. Advocating for change is great, but trying to control the narrative, not allowing others to speak or communicate their viewpoints, that control can hold us back. That attempt to control or to manipulate a situation can hold us back from really allowing divine to work, right? Surrendering to the universe, surrendering to the flow, not resisting it, not resisting the change, allowing things more. Again, being in that feminine, receptive energy, that's when the universe can really start to work on our behalf. So if you see an area in the world that needs healing, the first thing is to identify that in your mind. When you see an injustice, to identify where that injustice is and to ask, how can I be of service? How can I bring change? How can I be the change that I want to see in the world, right? You all know that quote. Don't ask me who it came from. I've heard it quoted so many times, but never by who. So credit to whoever said that. It's a great quote. When I lean on certainty and faith, I change my mind about the world I see. So really it's changing our language. It's not just saying that we want something to change, right? It's really envisioning that the change is already happening, that the change is already here, that the change is in me, that I am the change. And when I'm focusing, again, I'm putting my manifestation powers, my visualizations, the things that I'm talking about, the things that I'm building in my life, the things that I'm doing in my life, how are they contributing to the world I want to see for my kids and their kids, for my future, for your future? So just having faith that if I see the need for a change, if I see that the world could be better and I'm doing my part to make it better, having faith and certainty that the change is here, that it's happening right now, because so mote it be. That was an important one. And that also is about our third eye chakra. So probably no mistake that I have violet, the violet light on behind me. I just randomly chose a color, and that's the color I was drawn to. And that is about your third eye. So really doing a lot of work with our third eye is going to be beneficial right now so that we're able to see things clearly. God does not bring a spirit of confusion. I don't know the exact scripture, but that is a scripture. And it's an important one. God does not breed a spirit of confusion. If there's confusion, it's not of God. It's not of spirit. It's not of the light. Confusion is a tool of manipulation. It's from the devil. The devil. The darkness. Maybe it's the darkness of our own thoughts, our own negative self-talk. But it is that lack of clarity it's not good for us. It's not good for our spirit. So it's really important to get in touch with your own intuition. You can meditate on the color purple. You can do a violet flame meditation. And you can focus on just clearing your mind and envisioning a violet flame. And that's just really beneficial and really helping to open that third eye. And also to trust your own intuition when it comes. You could also wear purple. You can eat purple, maybe some eggplants. Amethyst can be very helpful for this. And lapis lazuli is also a great crystal for your third eye chakra. I'm going to go ahead and choose one more message for the collective from our Wisdom of the Oracle deck by Colette Baron Reed. The Light Tarot is from Chris Ann. So Wisdom of the Oracle deck. I'm just going to choose one guidance message for the rest of this month of June. And again, that future message, that sleight of hand, I gotta figure out what that card was. I'm really curious. Treasure Island. So this card shows a turtle swimming in the ocean with a treasure chest on its back. And there's hearts and starfish coming out of the treasure chest. And there's a face in the chest, a man's face. He's peering out. See if I can get you a close-up. Can you see it? Inside the top of the chest, there's a little face. Is that card down here? I have to look while I'm up. The unedited version of me. That is so weird. I mean, it's completely gone. So strange. Like, it's just funny because like when a message comes through, I don't really understand it sometimes completely, but it will mean something. When I find the card, it's gonna all come together. But in the meantime, yeah, you can't force an answer to come. Like, it's just not the right timing. The answer will come in time. I think that the turtle is really important here because Treasure Island, like, there is a treasure. Like, there is good things coming out of this situation, but it's moving very slow. And I think a lot of the reason why we're here today isn't just because of what's been happening in the world. It's also because we were at a point in our quarantine where we are all feeling very stir crazy. Even those of us who were still working outside of the home, even there was still that collective feeling of stir craziness, that we're stuck in our homes and we wanted to get out, and people were starting to protest for their right to go back to work and to go to the beach. Okay, so we were already there, and then we were given a reason to come out of our homes, a valid reason, fighting for our people's rights, right? And that got us out of the house, and it got us doing something and back into that masculine energy of actually, now we've received all these downloads from the feminine. We've received all this healing and introspection and internalizing of things, and then now we're back out and we're doing, and we're back out into the masculine, right? So we went to the feminine and we're coming back to the masculine. But ultimately, there is a treasure at the end of this journey. Not even at the end of this journey, the treasure's with you the whole time. So as you're journeying through this water, treading water came to mind. It's a slow process, but the treasure's already with you. I want to read this card, number 9. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but just what I feel called to. The law of attraction, bringing dreams into fruition. The results of positive thinking made manifest. Abundance appearing as if from nowhere. Financial gains and the sharing of good fortune. You've worked hard and acted upon your unwavering belief in abundance, and suddenly in the midst of it all, you've hit the jackpot. You have uncovered the map to buried treasure and tapped the unlimited potential within you. What you most hone now is your ability to recognize when X marks the spot. Because some of these golden opportunities may be obvious, but others may not be so readily apparent. Trust your intuition to light your way now as you enter this truly prosperous phase where all the long, hard work navigating your inner life in quarantine is now paying off externally. In all aspects of your life at this time, you have good fortune. Don't forget to enjoy it and share it with others, as treasures shared multiplies like magic. So it's saying, again, don't be distracted from the fact that before all this crap happened with quarantine, your life was going pretty darn well. At least you were definitely growing and you were ascending into a higher place. And yes, this may have knocked some of us off of our balance a little bit financially, or at least with job security. But the message coming in is that the treasure is still with you and abundance is still yours, and that we're going to get back, we're going to rebound back from this faster than we all expected. So, I think one of the most saddening things, loss of life is huge. But with the quarantine, I know there was a lot of people that were going to be going back to work, that were excited to go back to work, businesses opening up again, and the riots pushed everything back. Like businesses that were going to be reopening or maybe had just reopened were forced to shut down again. And I just got notice that Boomers, an arcade that I went to as a kid, and I took my kids there. It's a local place nearby, and I just think of all the memories I had as a child at that place with family, friends, and it's gone out of business. And there's just a lot of loss, and I think it could be really easy to get stuck there in the loss and forget all the progress that we've made and how far we've come. Like Boomers, for instance, is going out of business. That's unfortunate, but how long of a run was that for that business? And what new opportunities are going to open up for this business? Maybe the family, whoever's selling it, maybe they're selling it and they're going to invest in a different type of business, or maybe they're moving out of state. Whatever the reason is, it's not a complete loss. The treasure's there, And really the treasure is in selecting our thoughts, being intentional about making positive visualizations. Vision boards can be really great for that. Just writing a list. You don't need to know all the steps to get there. You just need to know what is Spirit calling you to do? What do you feel passionate about? What do you feel called to speak upon? Or who do you feel called to speak to? Who needs your help? How can you spread abundance? How can you give back? How can you support? How can you encourage? How can you grow others? How can you be the change? That's the message. That's the message for the collective for June 2020. Until next time, namaste.